Hi guys, and welcome to a new video on Minimal Nerd. Today is a very special day. I have the iPhone 12 Pro Max to review. It's in gold and it's very beautiful. So I had this phone for almost 2 days and I'm gonna share with you my insights and what kind of performance you would expect and whether this phone is for you or not. So stay tuned and watch the full video. The iPhone 12 Pro Max is the most expensive and largest device in this year's lineup. Apple made a big fuss this year about 5G, but I will not cover it in my review simply because I don't have any 5G in my area and I know a lot of people around the world don't really care about it. So with the iPhone 12 Pro Max, you get the following improvements over the regular iPhone 12. We're talking brighter screen, so 800 nits versus 600 nits. We're talking stainless steel frame, a LiDAR scanner, 4K HDR Dolby Vision at 60 FPS. We're talking about a 65mm telephoto focal length, night mode portraits, Apple Pro RAW, wide angle camera with 47% larger sensor, and a new sensor shift image stabilization technology. Okay, let's talk about the design. The first thing you will notice about the iPhone 12 Pro Max is its size and shape. The new square shape is inspired by older iPhones like the 4 and the 5, but it actually resembles more the iPad Pro shape. I'm personally not a big fan of the square design. One of the first things I noticed when picking up the iPhone 12 Pro Max was its weight. The phone is definitely heftier than previous versions, but it's easy to see why. This phone is huge. Using it one-handed is really challenging, and it's very hard to reach the corner or type on it. In this regard, I believe the 12 mini will be a champion. Now, the other feature we get this year is ceramic shield. It's a new technology designed to make the screen more shatter resistant. I don't want to drop my iPhone to test this, so I will leave this to other channels dedicated to this kind of test. The square frame enables the iPhone to stand straight on a flat surface if you actually care about that kind of thing. Aside from the cameras, the other significant difference between the two Pro models is the size of the screen. The 12 Pro Max comes with a 6.7 inch, still with the same notch. But since the display is a bit larger than the iPhone 11 Pro Max, the notch feels slightly narrower. Now, the gigantic display is great for viewing videos and photos and also playing games, as well as reading, websites and ebooks. I used to read a lot of books on my iPad, but for some time, and I don't know why, I started to use my iPhone 12 Pro Max more for that. And reading on this phone is actually great. For the screen, you got the same as previous DCI P3 color gamut, True Tone. This time we got 800 nits max brightness, 2 million to 1 contrast ratio, and so on. These figures, of course, are better than the iPhone 12, which only has a 600 nits max brightness. Playing Dolby Vision HDR videos on the Max is truly an amazing experience. My biggest disappointment with the display, of course, is the lack of the 120 refresh rate. I was really looking forward to that this year. My daily driver is the OnePlus 8 Pro, so I got used to high refresh rate. And boy, is there a huge difference in responsiveness. Don't get me wrong, iOS is actually well optimized and it feels very smooth on the new iPhones. But high refresh rate is a different story. You have to see it for yourself to tell the difference. And once you get used to it, it's very hard to come back. The iPhone 12 Pro Max, just like the other iPhone 12s, has a hybrid stereo speaker setup with spatial audio support. There is one speaker at the bottom, another one inside the screen notch, which also doubles as an earpiece. The stereo output is reasonably balanced, even if the earpiece seems a bit quieter and bassless if the bottom is muted. The audio quality is the best among the new iPhones. The 12 Pro Max has the deepest bass and the richest mid-tones, while the high tones are well presented, as good as always. Take a listen for yourself.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is. Tell me where to go, what to do. Tell me where to go, what to do. I just can't. Lord knows that I've tried to.
Slightly bassier sound at the highest volumes. That's about it. And the biggest iPhone also will of course have the biggest viewing area. And also because it's the same size notch on a bigger screen, the notch kind of feels maybe a tiny bit smaller, even though it is still comically big compared to other phones.
All the new iPhones come with iOS 14.1 pre-installed. The first software changes you will notice are the new widgets and the app library. If you are an Android user, then this is not new to you. However, Apple tends to optimize their features to the max, and I'm honestly liking the widgets on iOS more than on Android. They just feel alive. The rest of the iOS remains mostly unchanged since iOS 13, with some minor UI improvements across different system apps. Your apps usually populate the home screens and widgets. On the left you get Today page, but now there's a right page, which is the app library. A new option allows you to hide specific home screens. The navigation gestures stay the same as they were on the iPhone X. Swipe upwards from the bottom line to close an app, swipe and stop midway for task switcher, swipe from the side of the screen for back and forward. You can also swipe on the line left or right to switch to your recently used app instantaneously. The iPhone 12 Pro Max has support for enhanced landscape view in some system apps. The settings app look different in landscape orientation. But aside from that, I don't see any other apps using this landscape mode. This is by far the best iOS experience I've had since the disaster of iOS 11. Do you remember that? Now we come to the juicy part. Most people upgrade their phones because of the camera improvement, so this is a big deal to cover. The primary camera features the first major upgrade in a long time. It is 47% larger than the iPhone 11 Pro and the 12 Pro with bigger sensor pixels. This should help capture better low-light photos with less noise. Sensor shift stabilization should also be better than OIS in low-light photos, allowing for longer shutter speeds, which will make the picture look sharper and with less noise. The ultra-wide camera uses 12 megapixel sensor with a fixed focus, and there is no stabilization whatsoever. But the telephoto camera on the Pro Max has been improved with longer range zoom lens. It can now offer 2.5 optical zoom. The portrait night mode is available only on the main camera. Now we don't get the same zoom level as on Android, cameras, but still this is a big deal for the iPhone this year. The LiDAR scanner assists the main and portrait camera with detailed depth maps for portraits and faster autofocus in low light conditions. I could tell that the iPhone is actually taking pictures or photos faster in low light using the LiDAR scanner. Finally, the selfie camera uses 12 megapixel sensor that can record up to 4K at 60 FPS. The test of the selfie camera video recording using 4K 30 FPS. So it's very decent. There is a bit of HDR, so I'm just walking here. You can see the stabilization of the front-facing camera and also the audio from the microphone. So it's a bit jittery around the bushes here. You can see a bit movement there, but so far I'm quite liking the way it looks. What's big this year is the Dolby Vision 10-bit HDR video recording at 4K 60 FPS. Apple is proud to tell you that it's the first camera ever to record in Dolby Vision. I have to admit, it looks beautiful, capturing high dynamic range, especially in sunlight. But if I'm honest, to the naked eye or on social platforms, it's very hard to notice the differences for both photos and video. But I would say that HDR video is really enjoyable on an HDR capable display. Smartphone cameras came a long way, and it's very hard to find those stark differences that put the iPhone as the camera king for many years. Maybe that could change with the Pro RAW, which I will cover in another video once it's available. So you can see all of this for yourself now. The iPhone 12 Pro Max is powered by the A14 Bionic chip, and it's fast. It's the same one inside the iPhone 12, the 12, and the 12 mini. Compared to the 12 and the 12 mini, the Pro models features more RAM, actually 6GB of RAM, which will help keep more apps running in the background. I never had an issue going back to backgrounds apps, and finding them exactly where I left them without the need to refresh was always without any issue. As of now, there's nothing on the iOS App Store that would push the iPhone 12 series beyond its limit. If you do any kind of content creation on your smartphone, like editing photos or even video editing, you will really appreciate the performance of the A14 Bionic chip. Apple is still ahead of all the competition when it comes to smartphone and iPad performance. Let's talk about games. If you are an Apple Arcade user, then you will appreciate the ad-free gaming on the biggest iPhone screen yet. I really enjoyed gaming on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. All games run smoothly, but again, the lack of the 120Hz refresh rate is a bummer, since I know for a fact that the A14 Bionic is more than capable of pushing those extra frames. Do you remember the PS Vita or the Switch? Well, in 2020 it feels that you don't need any other mobile gaming device other than your iPhone. You can hook it up to an Xbox or a PlayStation controller and you're good to go. Here's some good footage for that.
Target's in sight. Reloading! Cross the lead.
Since this is the biggest iPhone model, it's no surprise that it will have the longest battery life. Apple claims up to 20 hours battery life for the iPhone 12 Pro Max. In my 2 days with the phone, I had no reason to doubt that. You could easily go out for a full day of working and come back in the evening with enough juice until the next morning. It's definitely a 1 or 2 days phone. What's special about the iPhone 12 this year is the MagSafe wireless charging and the fact that Apple will ship all iPhone 12 models without a charger. I'm not really a big fan of this move since it's contradictory to the Apple claim for environmental reasons, because you still have to buy a USB-C cable to charge your iPhone. And if you don't have that, then the standard charger will not work and you need to buy a new charger. So what's the point of all this? In conclusion, the iPhone 12 Pro Max is a fantastic smartphone. It may just be the best smartphone on the market right now, and it was a pleasure to use in my time with it. It's incredibly powerful, it's beautifully designed, and the battery life is much better than most phones, and you can trust the triple lens rear camera to get amazing result almost every time. I wish Apple would give more pro and manual features inside the camera app, but maybe that will change with the Apple ProRAW format. The lack of 120Hz display is keeping me from upgrading this year. Hopefully we can see that next year with less of the notch, or maybe no notch at all. If you're not a fan of Android and you have big sum of cash, then go for it. It's an expensive phone. If 5G is not a big deal for you and you don't like big screens, then don't get it. Maybe the iPhone 12 is for you. Anyways, it's the best selling iPhone this year. Me personally, I don't have any reason to upgrade from my daily driver, the OnePlus 8 Pro. And I believe the iPhone 12 Pro Max is for Apple die-hard fans that really want the biggest screen available. So that's my review. Thank you, and see you on the next one.